Let's let this song be the mantra for all of us to uplift each other and be there for each other. I think you'll know the song. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lying in my bed, I hear the clock tick and think of you, caught up in circles. Confusion is nothing new. Flashback, warm nights, almost left behind. Suitcase of memories. Time after, sometimes you picture me. I'm walking too far ahead. You're calling out to me. I cannot hear what you have said. Then you say, go slow. I fall behind. The second hand unwinds. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting. Time after time. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting. Time after time. After my picture fades and darkness has turned to gray, watching through windows, you're wondering if I'm okay. Secrets stolen from deep inside. The drum beats out of time. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting. Time after time. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting. Time after time. You say go slow. I fall behind. The second hand unwinds. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting. Time after time. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I will be waiting. Time after time. Time after time. Time after time. Time after time. Time after time.
Brian Griesbart, thank you, Brian.
Thank you, guys. Great music. Let's give them another round. Oh, and good morning again. And I'd like to also say good morning to a few others who have joined us online, to Jim and Belinda, Carol, Dee, Mary, and Patricia. Welcome. We are so glad you are with us today from parts all over the country today. It's always exciting to see people from other places who are becoming aware of our community and aware of what we do. And what we've been doing this last couple weeks is a series based on the book Jesus 2.1, looking at Jesus through a new lens as a teacher, as a way shower, and seeking to understand the person he really was and what he really taught. because much of that, as we know, has been lost to history. Today, we are going to be talking very briefly about the 12. What 12? Okay, come on, are you awake? Of course, the 12 apostles, Jesus' inner circle. But who were they really? And were there really only 12? Now, most of you know the answer to that. How many were there? Nobody knows. But I promise you, there were way more than 12. It's interesting if you really look back through history and all of the different other writings besides the canon Bible, which doesn't look anything like it did originally, how many differing opinions and ideas and stories there were about how many there were. Do you know that in the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, not one of them names all 12? Did you know that? See how many of you have ever actually read it. And some of them have different names in the different Gospels. Luke says there were at least 70. At least. Other extant writings don't mention them at all, or else simply state that there were many. Some state, and in Eastern Orthodoxy, this is what they believe, that there were actually 24 in Jesus' inner circle. 24, 12 men, and guess what? 12 women, yes. But what were they? Who were they? Were they just followers of Jesus? No. The very word that the title they were given, the word apostle, literally translates to one who is sent. One who is sent. In other words, their job, they were being trained. They were being trained to go out and spread these teachings throughout the world and to create more circles. The great teachers of the world have always used this model, from the Buddha to the Christ to modern teachers. When I taught school, we had our students, we had small classes and we sat in circles. Why? Why? Because we could teach each other one-on-one, empower each other, support each other. There was no top-down, it was collaborative. And guess what? That model works. It has been proven time and time and time again throughout history. That model works. So who were they? Well, we could say the names, John, James, Peter, you know, Bartholomew, Thaddeus, I could go on. But there were women too. Now, we don't know the names of all the women. We do know some of them. There's the various Marys. And a lot of scholars say that word Mary originally was not, obviously they weren't all named Mary, but that it was used to denote a woman who was a follower or an apostle of Jesus. So there was Mary, Jesus' mother, Mary Magdalene, Mary who washed Jesus' feet, Mary the mother of James, and at least one Martha. But there were others. There was Salome, who was the other James and John's mom, Joanna, Susanna, and more than likely, these were some of their strongest followers. But what did they do? And what did they teach us that we can use today? And should it have ever stopped at the number 12 or 24 or 70? When we had our opening affirmation up there, more than 12, that wasn't referring to those who were with Jesus while he was alive. You and I are part of the more than 12. It never was supposed to stop with Jesus. I love the way Charles Fillmore defined unity and Jesus in the process. He said that unity is the continuation of the great educational movement inaugurated by Jesus the Christ. The continuation. It did not end 2,000 years ago and was stuck there. It was meant to evolve. It was meant to grow. It was meant to not become a religion at all, but to become a path so that Jesus' mission statement could be fulfilled. Now, for our guests, what is Jesus' mission statement? I have come that you may have and have it. Very good. That was his mission statement. He didn't say, I have come that you can put me on a pedestal and worship me. And he never said, I have come to be sacrificed to save you from your sins. That was put in centuries later. We know that for a fact. He said, I have come that you, all of you, may have life and have it abundantly, regardless of religion, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of any regardlesses. I have come that you, all of you, Buddhists, Hindus, Christians, Coptics, Gnostics, pagans, atheists, indigenous religions, no religions, whatever, may have life and have it abundantly. And of course, very quickly after he was out of the scene, they created a religion. And it was only for a few, only if you were saved. And he never, ever, ever taught that. So where does that leave us today? That leaves us struggling to unlearn 2,000 years, well, actually about 1,600 years of a very carefully crafted religion to get back to the spiritual teachings of Jesus. And at the same time, we realized there was value and just as much value in the teachings of the Buddha. In fact, they were almost identical in many ways, and the other great teachers down through history. Until here we are today in unity, where we seek to discern these truth teachings for ourselves, to discern and explore and use them to co-create that world that works for all. But we have made a mistake, I believe. One of the things that I have wrestled with as a spiritual leader, as a minister for so many years, is that statement, we want to co-create a world that works for all. Why, after 2,000 years, 2,600 if we include the teachings of the Buddha, why have we not accomplished it? You would think 2,000 years would be enough, wouldn't you? Oh, good. I'm glad you're on board with me. Why have we not done it? I think it's because we forgot that we have to start with ourselves. How can we co-create a world for others when we haven't done it for ourselves yet? Now, I know in unity, oh yes, we have prosperity down. We have relationship down. You know, we walk around like this. No, you wouldn't be here if you weren't still working on it. I wouldn't be here if I was not still working on it. You know, I say this stuff for me too. Actually, mostly for me. I'm kind of selfish that way. No. I realize we're all wrestling with the same things. How do we then fulfill that statement that we have made in New Thought, not just unity, but in New Thought and in other practices around the world for so long? Co-create a world that works for all. It's a big thing. Think about that. As of last week, officially 8 billion human beings. We're going to make it work for all? That's a big task to undertake. But why not undertake it? And, as I said, we have to start with ourselves. So I was wrestling with this over the years, thinking, boy, I just don't see how we could really do this. And I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us. Just checking to see if you're paying attention. You were. I've wrestled with this and had discussions with other spiritual leaders and priests and ministers and unity ministers and teachers and from all paths, and we've all said the same thing. What's blocking this? Where do we start? How do we really begin to do this? And then I met Alan and Christina, and they told me something about this thing called happy circles. Happy circles. And then I met Scott, and then I started doing some research myself. And I realized something, that we've always known how to do it, but we've lost it. The teachers from years past who created circles of people around them where they first learned for themselves. Think about the apostles. Let's be traditional and say, okay, let's think about the 12 apostles, and we'll bring in the 12 women too. And let's say there were 24. Imagine them sitting around Jesus' feet. These were people like you and me. Some were educated, some weren't. They had different skills, different hopes, different dreams. Some had children, some didn't. But they all wanted a world that would work for them and for others. They caught the passion, the message of the teacher. And the first thing they did, if you really read what we do have available, even in the canon Gospels, the first couple years, it was all about working on themselves. Understanding, okay, how do I make a world that works for me? Jesus said, I have come that you may have life and have it. And it's how do I have that life? Because I can't teach anybody else to do it until I understand it. And so for a couple years they spent, maybe longer, we don't really know for sure, but a couple years working on that. And then it shifts. If you look at the writings, you'll notice a shift in how Jesus interacted with them. And you'll notice that he began to move from teaching them to saying, go out and try it. Go out and spread the message. And the first time they went out, anybody know what happened? They didn't do so good. And they came back. But then they went again and again and again. And they created communities, circles, where people did the same thing. You know, in the first church, they did not do worship. It was about education. It was about sharing. It was about supporting and empowering each other using spiritual principles. So I've been wrestling with this. How do we get back to this? And lo and behold, you know, when you pray for something, when you meditate on something, you attract it. I met them. And I'm going to formally introduce them now and invite them to come up here. First of all, Alan and Christina. When I came back to Albuquerque from Joplin, the first day I was back, somebody said, you got to check out this little rock shop. I go, okay, I love rocks. Come to my house, you'll see. And I couldn't find it. They didn't tell me where it was, and I had this idea it was in the strip mall over on Eubank. I couldn't find it. It wasn't time. And then, of course, I had to go back to Joplin and pack up and everything and move back. And then, oh, there it is right in front of me. And I walked in. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. It's not a rock shop. That's their cover. Yes, they have beautiful gems and minerals, and there is beauty and I believe energy in all of these things, that these different structures in our universe. But what it really is, I believe, is a place of healing and enlightenment, because I see what they do. So, Alan and Christina, would you come up? Welcome. Do you want to say anything? I have a microphone. I might be able to turn it on. There you go. You got to hold it right to your mouth.
I have never spoken in front of so many people, so it's a little startling, and I wasn't actually prepared to speak. But I want to say how blessed I feel to be here with such beautiful people, and your story was so heartwarming, and it just feels really good to be with such such a place of love and open-heartedness. And I welcome everyone to come check out our rock store right across the street. So I'm going to pass it on now, but thank you. I feel grateful, and there's a lot of gratitude in my heart to be here. Thank you.
It's nice to see a lot of you again, and I'm really glad to be here. I guess life is a gem, to me, is a statement about life. Life is a gem, it's a joy, it's a place where you come, not to get a rock, but to see the rock inside of you, the beauty, the shine, the happiness, the fun. And that's why we decided to put together the shop. We call it, like I said, Life is a Gem. And then we had to get the rocks because we love the title. So actually, we got the title, then the rocks. Well, we better get some rocks in here, honey. She's like, okay, well, let's go find some rocks, you know. So we got the rocks, and then we began to really say, what is this place? It's a place of love. That's all it is, and happiness and joy. And then as time went by, we realized after the whole COVID thing, what was lacking, it wasn't rocks we had or this, that, it was happiness. People had lost that happiness. They felt separate. We said, let's bring back the joy, the happiness. And so we began to conjure, and Scott came into our lives with the circle concept. We said, well, let's bring happiness to it. And so that's how happiness developed. And I'm glad to be here to share it with you. And with that being said, have a beautiful, happy, and remember, life is a gem.
Thank you. Thank you. And I want you to know that I know that I think they're working back with the kids, but we have several people who have come to Unity because of their secret shop over there. They said, oh, you ought to check out that place across the street. So we are so grateful that you're part of our extended community, and we're really happy. Now, they introduced me to Scott Miller. Scott Miller is an author, the founder of Circles, and he shared with me his pre-retirement project, which he has called, or I guess semi-retirement project, which creates collaborative support, education, and empowerment to find your true passion and your true happiness. Makes it possible for us to use all of these tools that we have to really co-create that world that works for us and for others. And he named it Happy Circles. He's also the author of several books. And by the way, both of them have tables outside there with their books and all of that, and some rocks on there. These are two of his books. And we are going to be incorporating Happy Circles here. We're going to establish our first one, first of many, I hope. And to tell us more about that, I'm going to invite up Scott Miller.
Thank you, Gordon. I'm going to practice staying in a circle. I'm doing a TEDx talk this Saturday, and they got that red dot, right? And they want you to stay in it, which is not my style at all. I would be all over this place. But it's about this big, so this will be good. You can let me know if I get outside the circle. Is this on? Yeah. Got to hear that close. Oh, there we go. All right. A trilogy of events happened in 1979. I was first done with college, so excited to start living life. That's how I felt about college. Like, get me out of here already. And I had gone to this yoga class with Luana. Luana was an amazing person, and she said, I'm doing this meditation down in my lodge, which was 60 miles from Kent State. So I hitchhiked down there, spent the weekend, and had my first breakthrough into cosmic consciousness. It was really vivid, powerful, and introduced me to my higher self. And the guy that led it slipped me this book, and I was asking, do you guys have this book? And sure enough, you do. The Game of Life by Florence Shin. Now, when I got it, it was just a blue book, had a stamped on, you wouldn't want to judge a book by its cover back then, right? But it was loaded with the information. This one's got a CD, real stepped up. But to me, this was the keys to the universe. This book, plus that experience I had, was so powerful, I decided to go hitchhiking. So I hitchhiked across the country and landed in Portland. And the first thing I did when I got there was go to Unity, because I had heard about the Daily Word from Luana. She was reading that, and I hadn't been to a service yet. And they were doing this visualization that said, let's just visualize what you want next in life. Well, I had $85 in my pocket, no job, no place to live, I didn't know anybody. I just wanted to get somewhere, and there I was in Portland. And I visualized this sort of Zen bedroom, all I wanted was a mattress, maybe a carpet. I wanted access to an organic garden and a girlfriend. That's what I wanted. I was 22, So Thursday, I'm sitting in my room with my mattress and my single green-colored carpet in the home that one of the Unity people had said he was renting a room, and I'd had access to his organic garden. And I was with my girlfriend that I had just met, and we were just sitting there, and it suddenly hit me. Everything I had visualized had happened, and I had forgotten about even the visualization until Thursday. And I thought, whoa, this book is nuts. This is an amazing thing. So the third thing that happens, I went back to Ohio, and this friend of mine says, you got to meet these two women. They're all over the country, and they're doing this thing called the Love Project, and you'll love them. And it turns out you also had this book in the bookstore today, The Love Principles, written by the woman who was one of the two women that I met in 1979. And she has been now given credit for the phrase, which you might have heard, be the change you want to see happen. This came from Arlene. This is now being fixed. They're having conversations with Gandhi's camp. They might have to give up the T-shirt. We'll see. But what these two women modeled to me was they put people in a circle and they moved their consciousness to a new level and left. They did this all the time, all over the country, and took people on these global trips. So I said, I want to do that. And I started a career in these circles, and I realized that these circles could help people get out of poverty. One of my first jobs was helping people out of poverty, and we weren't doing it. The only way people were getting out of poverty was marrying somebody with a job. We would have done better with a dating service than all the programs that we're doing back then. And so we put together these circle programs, and we invited people with more than enough income to be with people that didn't have enough income, and the magic happened. We got people out of poverty, and we began to create this whole mindset that we can and we should end poverty. It should just be done with. The poor will be with us. That's a misquote. It has nothing to do with poverty. But we use it as an excuse because we don't have the right ideas. We feel helpless about it. So one of the things we learned in circles, if you just focus on getting 10% of folks out of poverty, some kind of tipping point can happen. And we've now got 7 communities in the country that have taken that on. We have 80 places doing circles, but 7 have agreed to come up with a plan to get 10% of the children out of poverty in their community. We just got a $25 million award in Tennessee. We're going to get 1,600 kids out of poverty. And more importantly, we're changing the system. It's no longer going to be poverty management. It's going to be poverty alleviation towards prosperity. So that confidence that I got from the game of life, the love principles, unity, all started manifesting into this ability to inspire people to do something different. Let's get folks out of poverty, and then let's get poverty done with. Well, we're going to have to recruit thousands and thousands of more volunteers into circles to work with people getting out of poverty. And one of the ways that I think we're going to be able to do it now is with this new format called Happy Circles. If you think about that thing that you're always going to change tomorrow, you know what I'm talking about. You got that in your mind? Like, tomorrow I'll lose this 10 pounds, probably be in a better space by Monday to start doing it. I'll be the Dalai Lama of drivers by next Wednesday, but not today, right? Whatever it is you're thinking about that you want to change, that part of yourself that feels helpless in changing it is what Happy Circles can help to be the remedy for. If you bring that into a Happy Circle, then you'll get allies to start mobilizing new energy around that part that wants to change. And then to me, that's what powers us up to be able to go out and make change in a more global way. Circles USA is headquartered in Albuquerque. We're going to ring the bell next week with TEDx about that. We're going to organize a much larger effort here to help this city and this state begin the end of poverty for this country. So there's that to be looking forward to. But here at Unity, we're launching Happy Circles on anything. anything you want to focus on to move to the next level. So I'd like to just give you the opportunity to reflect for 1 minute. I want to play a piece I wrote. It's called The Calling. And just let this idea come to you that you might want to bring into Happy Circles. We're starting a week from Tuesday at 6:30 here. And we do want to get the entire New Thought community involved with this. We think it's a way to, there's some research that says there's 150,000 adults in Albuquerque who have the same values that we have. And we're tapping 0.5% of that right now. So what will be the way that we can reach out to more people? Maybe it's just something that sounds fun and light and empowering, like Happy Circles. So let me give this back to you. I'm going to just play this for a minute.
Thank you, Scott and Alan and Christina. As I said, they'll be in the back to answer any questions, to tell you more about our Happy Circle. And I hope I'm visualizing it being a big circle. Because regardless of how old you are or what job you have or anything else, it's time to not only get happy, really happy, but to help make our community happy. And this, I believe, is the tool that we can use to take unity outside of these walls. Remember, life is a gem, and the diamond is within. Namaste.
Doomba doomba doomba, 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 doomba doomba doomba. Everybody's different, we're not all the same. There are certain things we all have in common. We're all charter members of the Five-Finger Clan, part of the family band, divine plan. We're all playing in the same band. These hands will pick you up when you fall. These hands will make you better when you feel small. These hands are a comfort through it all. These hands are made to hold. These
sisters and brothers, hands filled with love, lifting each other, hands full of joy, hands filled with peace, working together, hands held forever. These hands make music on these keys. These hands work for justice and for peace. These hands will never let you down. These hands will always be around. They'll always be around. Hands reaching out to sisters and brothers, hands filled with love, lifting each other, hands full of joy, hands filled with peace, working together, hands held forever, hands reaching out to our sisters and brothers, hands filled with love, lifting each other, hands full of joy, hands filled with peace, working together, hands held forever. These hands, these hands, these hands, these hands. All right, thank you.